All right, Salim. I told you how this began. Now tell me why. How do I stop Deimos if I'm dead?
Your body is dead, but your mind remains alive. I'm connected through your direct neural interface in your subconscious. To save humanity, you must open the portal. With your body gone, the only way to do this is to train your mind.
Train my mind?
Relive the events preceding your last. Only then. Think back to 2065. You're on a train in Switzerland.
The raid. There was a Catardus terrorist collective. They were planning something big. What are these drops I keep seeing? I saw them in Coalescence too.
It is your mind trying to help you through your memories. Weapons, abilities, powers. Use them or don't, but they may offer you a temporary advantage. Where did Diaz take you next?
We still have to get to the factory entrance. The entrance was locked. We had to destroy a generator to get it open. That was around the corner, with more dead standing in our way. I had an arsenal in front of me, but Diaz made it clear. He told me to run point on the ground. He was supposed to see me think on my feet.
In a way, he's acting as your training.
Diaz wanted me to earn the name Dead Killer. And there's really only one way you can do that. I had support that day, but when you're out there in the real world, you're on your own. No backup, no reinforcements. Just you and the undead. I'd show him I was worthy of the name. The Cotardis base of operations was just ahead. Once we were inside, we'd be able to figure out what they were planning. Salim, what's happening? I can't...
No, stay with me. Come back to my voice.
I can't. I don't understand.
Tell me what happened.
I don't know. I saw robots and they were ripping me apart. What's happening to me? What was I seeing?
It is a lapse. Your mind is wandering into the unknown. Your subconscious finding fears, dreams...
We were ready to breach, but it didn't go as planned. He was ready. I had to get after him. Our mark was going to release 6115 into the surrounding area.
Remember, walk before you run. You weren't alone. Who else was there? Taylor?
Taylor. Yes, he discovered our mark had just unleashed the virus into Old Town, turning civilians into the living dead. But Taylor didn't lead that day. No, he had Overwatch. He was our eyes in the sky. Sarah Hall, however... Sarah Hall, the team's intelligence expert, was with me. She had point. She found our mark. Apparently his supply of 6115 was 10 times what we initially believed. Enough to turn all of Zurich into a city of the dead. Hall had been with Taylor as long as Diaz. He practically raised her, trained her. He made her. With Taylor in the sky, Hall was our feet on the ground. She didn't have as much patience for fresh blood as Diaz. She was direct and focused. And right now, she was about to give me a lesson in target acquirement. This guy didn't mess around. He had DNI just like us. He was hijacking any robotics he could, sending them after us. This guy didn't mess around. He had DNI just like us. He was hijacking any robotics he could, sending them after us.
What happened when you caught him?
Mark was bleeding out after that fall through the ceiling. Time wasn't on our side, and we needed information.
So what did you do?
I would do what Hendricks did in Coalescence. I had to interface with him, extract the information from his memories.
You make it sound cold. You would be diving into this man's mind. A dangerous task. A terminal task.
I know, but you have to make it cold. Detach yourself from the person. It was our first time performing this sort of interface, and Hall wanted to get that point across above all else. It's nothing personal because there is no person. They're not humans. They're databanks for pilfering.
Even though it would kill him.
Even though... It's ironic, really.
Ironic?
Hall teaching me how to raid a person's mind. It wouldn't be long before... Well, we know what happens to Hall. What I do to Hall. But we do what we have to do. This was the world we made. If we don't do it, if we can't sacrifice the individual, how do we protect everyone else? The tunnels. We tracked down the Catardus operations, and they were putting up a good fight.
Who joined you in the tunnels?
Taylor oversaw the operation, but the lead on this was Peter Moretti, the last of Taylor's team, an explosives expert. He was the guy you wanted when you needed to blow shit up. He was damn good at blowing shit up, which made him perfect for the fight ahead. Fearing discovery, the Catardus Collective had an armada of undead and patrolling robotics guarding the facility. I won't lie, it's strange seeing Moretti like this, knowing what happens next. He was crucial to finding Taylor, to finding Deimos.
You mean the refineries in Cairo?
He had a pivotal part to play. He just didn't know it yet. What he knew then was the way to the hideout. He took point. The Catardus group had planted a biochemical bomb containing 6115 on a maglev train. They were going to detonate it in downtown Zurich. Their plan was to turn the whole city as we feared. Taylor said there wasn't much time. But I'd done good. For all the on-the-job training I'd been through, I'd done all right for myself. All that was left was to find the train.
Good. You didn't even need my push to the final memory. You connected events and arrived at the truth.
Now what happens?
Now we set things right. Through your mind, you realign the events as they occurred.
And by doing this, if I work with you and remember the events leading up to Zurich,
You will be able to open the gateway. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let us finish here first.
found the bomb car. The whole thing was wired up, primed to blow. There wasn't time. I couldn't disarm it.
So what did you do?
Remember how we can't get infected? Some of the rumors about us were true. That's why I was there. Why we make the sacrifice. I used my cybernetic abilities to reverse the polarity of the train car and detach it. The car unleashed the gas. Safely outside the city.
And you lived?
I didn't know I'd make it at the time, but I turned out all right. It wasn't the last time I cheated death. No. No. I remember this place. What are they doing to me? Dr. Salim, what am I seeing? Taylor? Why can't I move?
You must let this go. Stay with me. Relax. Come back to me. Come back to the void. Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready to continue.
Good. Now that you've begun conditioning, let's return to 2070. After Coalescence collapsed. You were trapped in Singapore.
With quarantine zones unlocked all over the world, we couldn't raise WA command. If we were going to escape, we had to improvise. We turned to the 54 Immortals. They were dangerous and unpredictable, but they were no enemy of ours.
Hendricks trusted them?
What choice did we have? If we wanted out of Singapore, we had to go through the biodomes. We had to go through the Immortals. Getting in was easy. Getting out would be another matter entirely. At the time, the biodomes were the safest place to be. With the outbreak of 2060, the Immortals seized the marina and dug in. The biodomes were impenetrable. Dead-proof. Hendricks had a contact, Danny Lee. He was slimy as they come, but he could get us transport. Not only that, Taylor had beaten us out of the biodomes. And Danny claimed to know where he was heading.
They had this information.
Danny was convinced Gojulan had info. I don't know how the undead got in. A forgotten open gate. A child's mistake. A poorly nailed board over a window. It didn't matter. It was spreading fast. We were already outnumbered 20 to 1. The remaining humans scrambling away, or locked in their homes. We heard that familiar screech. Parasites, mutated creatures born out of 6115, were flying towards us. With the shipping yard cleared, Cloud Mountain was just ahead. The server room at the top. We had a long climb ahead of us.
What happened in the server room?
By the time we got there, Gojulan encrypted her hardware, locking us out of the central server. Hendricks stepped in, but we were a few seconds too late. Damage was done.
Why did she lock you out?
It didn't make any sense. Sure, we weren't on the best of terms, but this wasn't her. Something else made her do it. Something was controlling her. The encryption used a biometric hand scan. Hendricks... Hendricks had pulled all the data he could. I hoped it was enough. Our pickup was in position. It's time to get the hell out of here. Our bird wasn't alone in the sky. Our VTOL had caught the attention of an old automated wraith. We needed to find another way.
This wraith tailing you. It was like the malfunctioning robots you found in different quarantine zones. The kind targeting anything and everything as an enemy.
Just like that. Except on a much larger, more deadly scale. And this one was very interested in us. Command had an exit route. Extraction set beyond the swamps. If we crossed the super trees, there were shipping docks where we could commandeer an airboat. It's easier said than done. Between the flesh eaters and that wraith eyeing us, the super trees would be no walk in the park. We had to haul ass and stay out of sight. But they weren't our only concern. Winslow Accord picked up chatter ahead. Apparently, we weren't the only humans using the docks to escape. The super tree was collapsing. The only safe route to the docks was up. Chatter confirmed the 54 immortals were scrambling to get out of the biodomes through the swamps. From the sound of it, they wanted us dead as much as the Flesh Eaters did. Looked like we were jumping from one bad situation into another. Hendricks commandeered an airboat and set the autopilot. We had undead on our ass, and more 54I ahead. And that rogue wraith wasn't done with us yet. Was just ahead. We were getting out soon.
What about Taylor? What did Hendricks learn from the server?
Nothing. He'd have been wiped. Taylor was in the wind. And the virus, 6115, wouldn't stop this time. The Winslow Accord and CDP had been thrown into chaos. We'd lost Hong Kong, Berlin, and Cairo. And it was just getting started. What would come next? How the world would change? There was no way to be ready for that. "5 years. 5 long, dark years. Opening the quarantine zones did exactly as we feared. And by 2075, what was a contained situation gave way to anarchy. Humanity's numbers had been reduced to a few hundred mil scattered across the globe. The undead had risen to 7 billion. Taylor was in the wind, a faded reminder of our target was a Catardus colony. They'd taken over a refinery. It was a well-armed facility protecting them from the dead they worshipped. Top priority was to cut off their comms and leave them in the dark. But first, we had to clear out their defenses. This was a routine sweep. Every time another sympathizer colony sprouted up, we'd squash it back down. As far as we were concerned, we were doing the world a favor. You moved on the array, but the undead sympathizers weren't going down without a fight. Disabling the comms would take some time. Our support detail dealt with that. I dealt with reinforcements. The station disabled, we had to get back to our bird. The array was ahead. Bring it down, we'd be one step closer to eradicating this colony. Our support detail needed a few moments to disable the array. Lucky for me, I had more hostiles to keep me occupied. With the comms disabled, we needed to get back in the air. With their comms jammed, the next step was to breach the control room to take back the facility. There was access ahead. I just needed to get through the flooded room in front of me. Our support detail insisted on coming with.
When you were swimming, something went wrong.
Our DNI. There was a malfunction.
What did you see?
I saw... I was drowning. I thought I heard...
This is not your time. Get back up. Do not trust him. Everything is not what it seems.
What did you hear?
Nothing. I couldn't make it out.
Get up.
Then I woke up. Someone pulled me out of the water. Someone saved me.
Saved you?
A guardian angel. Someone watching over me. My support detail. She got through somehow, and pulled me out. She brought me back from the brink. She said it wasn't my time. My work wasn't done. I had to stop Taylor. I don't know how she knew. It didn't make any sense.
Did you know her? This woman?
No. I'd never worked with her before today.
And yet she knew about Taylor. She knew about what happened. And you're sure she was there?
What? Why? We prepped to breach, but it turns out our enemies planned ahead. The explosion blocked our path. We had to double back. It caught us off guard. But the noise also caught the undead's attention. We regrouped with our allies. That's Egyptian Army Lieutenant Ziad Khalil, friend of ours. He was durable, seasoned. He defended his home through undead wars. He wouldn't go down without a fight.
What was the plan?
Khalil would move on control from the exterior. I'd sweep the dead from the air. Our guardian angel accompanied me. She told me the answer to finding Taylor was on this refinery. Why she thought that. How she knew that. It was surreal. When Khalil took the control room, he found something on the security footage. Something we needed to see.
Taylor.
Like seeing a ghost. We just stumbled upon him. This wasn't just a Cotardis colony. This was Taylor's hideout. They were already evacuating Taylor. We locked down the facility, separating Taylor and his associate, Moretti.
Who did you go after?
It was too late for Taylor. The Cotardis put him on a VTOL. We'd go after Moretti. Command informed us the kill order was still active. Hendricks didn't like that, but it wasn't his call.
How did you feel about it?
5 years. 5 years after our fuck-up, and we could fix it. I'd gladly shut. Moretti was just below us. If we were gonna... we'd need to take a shortcut.
Shortcut?
A leap of faith. Moretti was just below us. If we were gonna get him, we'd need to take a shortcut.
Shortcut?
A leap of faith.
Listen to her. Trust her. Find Taylor.
How was Hendricks coping with the change of plans?
He was upset. And why wouldn't he be? Command wanted our friends dead. He wanted to bring Moretti in alive.
But that wasn't all, was it?
No, Hendricks had been different since Singapore.
In what way?
Every way. Aggressive, angry. He was losing perspective. And something was just off. I should have known what happened.
How could you have known? Even if you had, what could you have done? You seem so... cornered him. What did Maretti say?
He said that name. Same as Diaz. Deimos. He said if I wanted answers, I had to find Damien Bishop, a man we both knew from a past mission. Bishop could help stop Deimos. But first, I had to kill him. He kept saying, this isn't me, this isn't me. He kept saying Deimos made him do it. So I granted his last request. I killed him as he asked. I did our job.
This bishop that Maretti mentioned...
Damien Bishop, the man who found the cure. A vaccination to make 6115 victims human again.
A cure? Did it work?
It should have. Something was blocking it. Bishop had this theory. He believed somewhere there was an undead brain. A single creature controlling them as a collective hive. He believed that it somehow blocked the cure. We met him in 2065 when he made the breakthrough. News traveled fast. He and a few others were kidnapped in Ethiopia. It was a joint op with Taylor's team. We were to extract Bishop from a base overrun by the dead. With the dead crawling all over, we needed a distraction. Something to keep the flesh eaters occupied so we could grab Bishop. We weren't dead killers yet, so we had to be a little more creative. And lucky for us, there were plenty of NRC birds in the sky, and the NRC's dead system still worked. Laser cannons built to auto-target any hostile aircraft.
So you created the diversion.
And Taylor's team prepped extraction. Unfortunately, it seemed our cover wouldn't last as long as we hoped. The remaining NRC noticed the radio silence from air traffic control and had sent soldiers to investigate. Command set exfil for a satellite station off base. We reset the dead system to target one of the automated planes circling above. Turns out the undead have a thing for giant explosions, like moths drawn to a porch lamp. And all we had to do was turn on the lights. Unfortunately, we couldn't exactly control the landing. Hendricks alerted Taylor the bird was down and the diversion in play. We took out the NRC and moved. Bishop was being held underground in the security station across the tarmac. Hendricks ordered weapons down. The base was crawling with NRC soldiers and undead. No need to draw any more attention to ourselves. We crossed the tarmac. The tunnel ahead led to the security station. Hendricks took out the guards. I hacked into the system to find Bishop.
Why were the NRC still at the base? It was being overrun.
They needed the cure. They kidnapped Bishop's whole team and would do whatever it took to get their hands on it. They'd torture these researchers till the dead broke down the door and ripped them all to shreds if it meant they could save their people. It wasn't personal. It was self-preservation. With the secret out about Bishop's discovery, he'd become the most wanted man in the world. The NRC were just the first to grab him. It was every country for itself. Why do you think we were there? The Winslow Accord wanted the same thing the NRC did.
You can't rationalize anything when you're put up against the wall.
Nothing about this was rational. It was instinctual, animalistic, survival. He had been escorted to an interrogation room. We had to hurry. Behind us was an undead army. Once one got a whiff, the others would come running. Hendricks told Bishop who we were and that we had to move, but Bishop refused to leave without the other researchers, his friends. Our instructions were specific. Bishop was our priority. We didn't like it, but Bishop refused to leave without them.
Sounds like you were taking an awful risk.
He said for the cure to work, he needed them. They weren't expendable. Technically, we were.
In a way, you and the NRC were not so different in what you wanted and how far you were willing to go.
Our method was different. Our reasoning was not. No one wants to sacrifice themselves to save the world. But you like to think if the moment came, you'd have it in you.
Who was inside the cell?
Lieutenant Zayed Khalil, member of the Egyptian army. Back in '65, he was a guard assigned to Bishop's research station. This was how we met. Hendricks cut him down and notified Taylor we were freeing the other hostages. Taylor said we didn't have the time. The base was swarming with additional NRC forces. They weren't letting their prize go that easily. There was a tunnel full of hostile soldiers between us and our exit. A cargo elevator ahead was the only way to the surface. No telling how close the dead were behind us. The remaining NRC forces were waiting for us above. They weren't about to let their prized prisoner go. If it meant getting the cure and saving their families, they were willing to die for it. And they weren't the only ones. We'd never seen dead killers in action before. To us, it was a spectacle. To them, it was just another day in the life. Wait a minute.
Do not be deceived by his lies. Remember your past. Remember when you first met John Taylor. Remember the truth.
Wait, this is wrong. This can't be real. I told you I met Taylor in Zurich during the 2065 Catardist Uprising. After I became a dead killer. Here I am with Taylor. And my limbs haven't been replaced yet. I'm still human. Why did you tell me that the first time I met Taylor was Zurich?
Focus. You need to complete this memory. What was Taylor's plan?
Well, we were still on for exfil. But first, we had to blow the bridge. We followed Diaz. Both undead and NRC forces were converging on our position. Paul grabbed us after the hangar. She was to take us to Moretti, so we could blow the bridge. After the bridge, we were forced inside a comm center. Moretti took point. The rendezvous with Taylor was an APC garage just ahead. We could hear the undead screaming towards us. But that wasn't all. A robot horde was moving in. Taylor would need some time to get the door.
You were forced into the garage. What happened there?
Hendricks wanted to go back and get the other hostages. Taylor said Bishop was priority. After all, he had the cure. The rest were just collateral.
What did Taylor do?
He volunteered to take his team to get the others. We were to take Khalil and Bishop to Exfil. We got on the APC. Bishop was the most important man in the world right now. We had to get him to Exfil if it killed us.
You were forced into the garage. What happened there?
Hendricks wanted to go back and get the other hostages. Taylor said Bishop was priority. After all, he had the cure. The rest were just collateral.
What did Taylor do?
He volunteered to take his team to get the others. We were to take Khalil and Bishop to Exfil. We got on the APC. Bishop was the most important man in the world right now. We had to get him to Exfil if it killed us. The APC stalled on us. Hendricks needed a minute to get it going. The undead robots were crawling over us. Came in too fast. The APC spun out and crashed. Hendricks moved Bishop into position. The drone evac was inbound. Once secured in the drop pod, it would return to collect. We just needed to hold back the horde.
What happened?
Airspace was compromised. They had to pull out. Bishop was priority. We were expendable. We heard Taylor calls. He was inbound and told us to hang on. No. I can't do this. I can't live this again. No. Please.
I am sorry. You must.
No, no, please!
If you wish to defeat Deimos, you must. To save the world, you must relive this.
I should have died. I felt myself fade. It was over. That was the day I met John Taylor. That was the day I became a dead killer.
That was the day you met Bishop, the man who found the cure, before he died at the Cairo aquifers. Moretti told you to find him.
On Moretti's instruction, we sought him out. We told him what we knew, which at the time was just a name, Deimos. He didn't know much, just that Deimos was responsible for the outbreak, and that a safe house in Singapore had a dossier on the guy. So we returned to Singapore. Little did we know, Gojulan had taken the city, and somehow gotten the undead to obey her. If we were gonna get to the safe house, we'd have to go through them.